So we're here on the car from A Clockwork Orange, the
We are.
Durango 95. And why are we here, Dan?
Well, funny you ask. We're going to go on a tour of the Stanley Kubrick exhibit at the Design Museum in London.
Where does your love of Kubrick come from then?
When I was a kid, I became obsessed with films, and I remember one Christmas when I was like probably 11 or 12, probably slightly inappropriately young, was given the box set of his films for Christmas and stayed up Christmas night after everyone had gone to bed and watched The Shining for the first time by myself.
At 11?
Yeah, it was a terrifying Christmas.
And how did that affect you later on in life, do you think?
I mean, you tell me. And probably anyone that's listened to any of our music will probably be able to psychoanalyze
Great.
that.
There's a kind of a theme here with people watching Kubrick quite young. So I watched A Clockwork Orange, I think early teens also, and I think that had a really...
profound effect.
Exactly, yeah.
I think I'm really drawn to directors who have a very strong vision and who can skirt around different genres, but it always feels very much like their film. And Kubrick's an amazing example of that, obviously, as we will see, who has straddled all the genres and sort of pioneered in each.
Yeah. Talk me through how you're feeling about the car then in some more detail. So first thoughts upon seeing it obviously in the film and sitting on it in the film.
It's amazing to see it in real life. It's so surreal seeing these things that, you know, sort of grown up watching in films, as I'm sure we're about to see in a minute, you know, in the flesh.
Yeah. So Dan, we're here in the Shining room.
We are.
How scared are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
About being in here? Terrified. Yeah, 11, I would say 11.
And what particular points of The Shining terrify you the most, or with that kind of flashback to?
Well, the twins, they're pretty iconically terrifying. The axe scene.
So those
This
are
is
the,
crazy
that's
seeing
crazy.
this.
And also, so these are
All work
the,
and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
yeah, all the different translations.
Gosh,
Original
because that looks, and one of them has quote marks, isn't it? This one.
Yes, exactly. And apparently there were loads of typos to show that they actually did it by hand.
Yeah.
As well, which is really interesting.
It is crazy just to see the amount of detail and depth that go into all the films that Kubrick made.
And on a kind of rating of Kubrick films, where does this stand? So
I think because it was the first Kubrick film I ever saw, so I guess this will always stand out for me.
and horror as well. You're a big horror
Horror was
fan.
a genre that I really liked. I've sort of grown out of it, I think. I think just because when I was younger it was forbidden,
Yeah.
and so there was something exciting about that. For a horror film to be, you know, a classic and so well respected, even though it wasn't really at the time, and have so many iconic moments like the axe scene, the twins, the elevator opening with blood pouring out, the maze scene. There's just scene after scene and moment after moment that are kind of embedded in the language of cinema, which is just incredible. And for it to be an, you know, there's so much that's interesting about the film. It's an adaptation that the author fucking hates. Kubrick called up Stephen King when he read the book and said, I want to do an adaptation of it. And Stephen King was like, oh, cool. And went and immediately wrote a screenplay that Kubrick never even read. I think King responded really well to that rejection, and then saw the film and didn't like the changes that were made. But that was also really interesting with Kubrick, was that all of his films were adaptations, and he quite frequently seemed to sort of rub the original author up the wrong way, because it was about his interpretation, his vision. There aren't that many actors that he ended up working with again.
No.
Because I think quite a lot of them had, like these guys, had quite a tough experience.
Exactly. Shelley Duvall apparently went under so much stress that she presented a clump of her hair to Kubrick at the end of the film.
As a gift.
As a gift. Here is what you did to me.
Yeah. He really put her through her acting paces.
And what do you think of the costumes? Because we're right by
It's
them
amazing.
now.
It's so bizarre to see them in real life, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying.
It is.
Even seeing them empty, maybe even creepier empty.
You said that potentially in a former life, film journalist.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I, like we talked about before, was completely obsessed with films. I would get obsessive over different directors, Kubrick being one, Lynch being another, Tarantino, Dario Argento, and would want to just immerse myself in their whole back catalogue. And yeah, I guess I realised that unlike Kubrick, I was kind of quite lazy and wasn't really getting out there.
You wouldn't do all of this.
I wouldn't do this, which is amazing. His way of directing all the bodies by numbering them each and shouting from afar at how they should act. I realised that I was more of a film fan than maybe a filmmaker.
So Dan,
yes,
we are now in A Clockwork Orange.
we are.
Again, I'm going to ask you the rating system. Where does this come up against Kubrick films for you?
Oh, a close tied first.
Oh wow,
I think.
so very high.
Yeah, I love this film. It's twisted and awful in some respects, but very satirical and witty and has some very visually potent, memorable scenes. Kubrick willingly left out the final chapter from the UK version of the book, where Alex, it's the final chapter is from the perspective of Alex as he's completely reformed and has grown up, has children of his own and worries about them and their attitudes going forward. Yeah. But just because of Kubrick's pessimism, he left that behind.
Cut it.
So what we've got here.
So milk bar.
Yes.
Scene.
It's mad to see these in real life. I feel like that's probably going to be my tagline for this.
It is. It really is. And this is the first time that you've come around the exhibition as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Noticed the eyeball cuffs.
This was the first that I've seen that. Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't really aware of that.
So this wasn't always going to be the hat, and it's quite weird to think it wouldn't be the hat.
Over there they have.
Yes.
The test shots of all the different hats they tried out.
I mean, it looks so. All of them look really bad, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, which do you
Particularly
think
the sort of taller bowler hat.
The taller bowler hat would have been awful.
And the top hat would have just tipped it a little bit too far into
posh.
circus. There were a load of copycat crimes. People who wanted to be droogs and act in that way. And so Kubrick felt uncomfortable with the film being out there and withdrew it from the UK. It was out of circulation in the UK for 25 years, 30 years or something. So interesting that he reacted against, that he was so affected by the copycat violence that he pulled his own film.
Well, that's really interesting. So he wasn't, coming from a place of just being dark for dark's sake.
Yeah, and he sounds like he went through it. Kubrick seems to put a lot of his actors through hell, to really get the part. And McDowell had his retina scratched in the famous eye being held open scene, ribs broken, and nearly drowned.
Yes. And we got told as well that he didn't get paid.
Didn't get paid?
Yes.
Cool.
So kind of a triple, quadruple whammy there as well. So quite quickly, then what's your view on Strangelove?
So Strangelove is brilliant. I love that he took a book that was serious and made it a satire, made it funny.
This is really cool. So this is like the war room replicated at like a very small scale.
It's such an amazing set. Need it.
And Dan, we're now in Eyes Wide Shut.
We are.
We've transformed over into the next film. So ratings, where does this stand?
Probably a little bit lower. I find the story of how the film was made and reading about it may be more fascinating than actually watching the film. Obviously it was his last film and he died whilst still kind of finishing the editing process. Another sort of quite involved tale of his relationship with the actors, with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And he sort of seemed to kind of play tricks with them a bit. Obviously they're a married couple in real life, playing a married couple in the film with problems, and there was a scene where Tom Cruise's character has flashes to imagining Nicole Kidman's character having sex with another man. Apparently when they filmed those scenes, Kubrick insisted on taking about 2 weeks to film them and wouldn't let Tom Cruise on set and wouldn't let Nicole Kidman tell Tom Cruise anything about what happened.
Also, this was interesting, another fact, that apparently his wife painted all the pictures in Eyes Wide Shut. She was an artist.
The artwork on the walls.
Yeah, which was very cool.
And then obviously here are some photos of some London streets. They've shot the film in London, but it's set in New York.
I quite like this because I can tell exactly how tall Tom Cruise is.
Yes. The masks from the famous orgy scene, which you said you didn't find very sexy.
No, not at all.
No?
Personal taste.
It is quite clinical. Weird, yeah.
This was designed by NASA The Lens, so they could film in the dark.
He was so innovative, it's incredible.
So innovative.
And it was all filmed using candlelight and natural light.
Yes, exactly. And these are the candles. Apparently they used 3 wicks, so it would light brighter, but it burnt quicker, so they had to use...
But it's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably his most underrated and least talked about film, but it's amazing.
This is really cool, and shout out to the Design Museum who actually filmed a flicker of a candle and then digitized it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
I had to say that because they spent a lot of time doing that, and it's really cool.
And it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel about being on the Hilton Space Station 5?
Well, yeah, honoured to be sitting here. much less interesting than any of the characters.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just rewatching the film recently, it is so like obviously visually incredible. And the music, his use of music in the film was amazing. Like Kubrick was famous for using pre-existing music and pre-existing classical music to soundtrack his films. Particularly with 2001, he commissioned a composer to do a score.
Yes.
He did a score for the film, but Kubrick was so in love with the music that he'd chosen for his kind of reference version that all those songs stayed in there. And they're so iconic, like so many of those songs you would now, totally associate with the film, and people will see, almost, they're more coupled with the film than with their original composer.
You can hear the monkeys going nuts.
I know.
Which is very calming.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Almost as calming as watching the film.
Yes, exactly.
When they're reacting to the monolith. Probably going into watching a film about space, you're not expecting to go way back in time.
Absolutely, yeah, shocker.
Hang out with a load of apes. Such an amazing film, it's so beautiful, but it's very weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. I was saying to you before, without Wikipedia or Google, how did people understand it?
I don't know, maybe it was like take some drugs, sit back with your mates and watch it, come up with theories.
Yeah.
It's very much open to interpretation. I love films and albums actually that kind of require the listener or the viewer to bring something to it, bring an interpretation, or or talk to their friends about it.
I want to read you my favourite sign-off of all time that he wrote here: annoyed and depressed but lovingly.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great? That's a great sign-off.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that.
I think you should, yeah,
definitely. It's pretty appropriate for me most of the time, so I might nick that. It's Hal.
It's Hal.
You evil bastard.
Yeah, I always thought he was a bit...
of a murderous fuckhead?
Sure, and also a little bit misconstrued.
Oh, really?
I think he was trying to warn them, no? I mean, he did go mad.
He went a bit rogue.
He knew from the beginning it was a dodgy mission, right?
This is true, yeah. Okay.
So where do we stand on 2001: A Space Odyssey?
So 2001, I think, is probably objectively seen as his best film. I think as a viewing experience, it's beautiful, and the music's amazing, and it's kind of unbelievable that it was made when it was made for how incredible it looks.
Yeah.
But probably not as fun a watch.
Yeah.
It's very long
Yeah.
and very slow, but it is amazing, and the ending is just totally bonkers.
So Dan, thank you so much
Thanks
for coming round the exhibition with me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
It's been so insightful.
Can't believe I got to sit on the car.
Yeah.
See all this memorabilia.
Absolutely. What's the
props.
best thing that you've seen?
Oh, good question. For some reason, I'm thinking of the ape suit. I'm thinking of the twins, the axe, all those masks from Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, I'm listing the entire exhibition,
exactly,
so sorry. I mean,
no,
that goes to show how much. Thank you so much for having me here.
I've really enjoyed it too.
How amazing to get to wander around with no one else here.
It's amazing. It's like a dream.